So welcome back to my channel and the next installment of my up close product videos. So I've been meaning to put together this up close product video for a little while now, but conditions just haven't been favourable out on the bank. So on this beautiful sunny spring day, I am going to talk you through the ins and outs of the Wychwood Tactical Floating Sling. So as like all of my up close videos, what we'll do is we'll start from the outside and work our way in to the product and all the features that it includes. So firstly then, as you will see, the sling itself comes in its own little stash bag. The bag itself is enough material there to get it in without trying to fight with it at the end of your session. And not only that, they give you enough material on the bag as well at the top to be able to roll it down a few times, and with the plastic buckle clip it into place, just meaning that nothing sort of wet inside is going to drip out all over the boot of your car or van. Secondly, the actual bag itself, I wouldn't say it's watertight, but it's definitely sort of damp tight. Obviously you want to dry your sling off at the end of your session as much as you can anyway, but it's just got that sort of water repellent material finish on the inside, just to stop some of the damp from your sling leaking out, as I mentioned, coupled with the roll top design. And then lastly, for the outside, you will see that it's probably half the size of a conventional type sling. Now that is where the folding design comes into play. It allows me to just fold it in half, get it in the bag, or just use it without the bag, slip it inside my mat, and I'm up and away. Here it is, the Tactical Floating Sling. Now as I mentioned, it folds in half, and that is because it is joined by elastic along the two lengths of the pole that is sort of like the main frame of the sling itself. So you may think, oh, elastic, you know, running through the poles, a bit like bivvy poles, can be prone to damage, that sort of thing. Now I've had my sling for quite a while now, pretty much ever since it got released. Use it everywhere I go that I'm allowed, and yeah, this elastic hasn't frayed or damaged in any way, shape or form. It's quite a thick elastic. You know, it's not thin by any means, quite strong. And not only that, if you look on the ends of the poles as well, they've got this sort of rounded finish, so there's no sharp edges there at all on either of those poles that is going to damage or fray this elastic, meaning that in X amount of time that it's going to snap on you and you're not going to have that stability in the frame. Now putting the sling together really couldn't be much simpler. There is just sort of enough elastic in the insides of the pole to just allow it to just sort of snap into place. There isn't masses of elastic where it's saggy or anything like that. The elastic kind of just does the job for you and just pulls the sling into place. So all you need to do is just simply just bend the two poles up, and the elastic, as I said, will just pull the actual poles down inside each other, like so. So not only that, when you push them together, you will see that there's a slight lip on the thinner pole, and it just allows the thicker collar of the left hand side pole there to just butt up against it, meaning that it's going to stay in shape. No poles are going to be sort of sliding inside each other with the sort of tension of the elastic. They just sit true alongside each other, and same for both of them. That's got it on both poles. Like I say, that just allows it to keep the same shape, same length poles, and just keeps it all nice and stable. So with the sling in one piece, let's start at the top and work our way down through the features that it includes. This sling is actual dual purpose, so not only is it a short-term retainer, but it can also be used as a weigh-in sling as well. So as you will see, there are sort of two large loops of material there which run the full length of the sling itself. So they loop back round at the top and then come back down the other side, and that is exactly the same on this side as well. So another loop of material and it runs right down to the base. Now at the top of those loops of material are 2 metal rings, so not plastic that will sort of break in weather. You've got metal loops that are strong and sturdy, which is going to allow you to hook your scales on there like so, and then lift the sling, weigh in your prize that's inside. Not only that, to save these rings sliding down the material, they're actually sewn in to the top as well, so you can easily grab hold of those. They're going to be at the top of the material every single time. You're not going to go having to go faffing around at the bottom trying to get them both. They're both sewn in to each side at the top, just giving you ease of hooking on your scales and hoisting it, ready to see those magic numbers. At the top, where it's probably going to be most sort of stressed, there is a good 2 or 3 inches there from the frame of the sling itself down to, you know, around here. And again, this is sort of cross stitched in there, so giving you maximum strength where, you know, the sling is going to be taking the most weight. So really strong, double stitch, double material, just allowing, when that's lifted up, for those 4 points, sort of 1, 2, 3 and 4 on the back, to be taking the most weight, and that isn't going to give way, sort of tear or anything like that. Once you've used it sort of, you know, a good amount of times, that's going to stay strong when you're taking the weight of the fish on your scales. Now moving down the poles, you will notice that there are 2 floats at either end, so these aren't big or bulky, obviously allowing you to get that just packed down nice and small into that bag, so they're a nice sort of streamlined size, and they are finished on the ends there with reflective sort of material, so when you've got your sling out at night, you just push it out into sort of like the margins. You can just flick the head torch on it, just make sure everything's good, everything's where it should be. Just gives you a good little sort of indicator that yeah, your sling is pretty much where you tied it up and left it. So yeah, four floats, 2 at either end, nice and streamlined, nice and slim, and obviously doing the job of keeping the sling up on the surface whilst the rest of it is down underneath with your catch inside. Now, if any of you visit a venue that doesn't allow sort of retainers, but will allow you to take sort of weigh slings, and they're a bit funny about, you know, having slings or floats on, that sort of thing. Now, there's a little sort of tip I can give you here. If you just fold it down back into half, there's enough give on the material if you sort of slide it up towards the end, that the end will just pop off. And not only that, you can just slide the removable floats off like so. Pop that back on the end, let the material go sort of tight on the tension of the elastic, and then you will have a weigh sling with no sort of retainer floats on it, and essentially giving you that dual purpose, like I mentioned at the start, of just having a weigh sling as well. And not only that, it's saving you a few quid, so you're not having to carry around a weigh sling and carry around a retainer at the same time. You can just use it for the different venues that you go to, just removing the floats, popping it back on like so, sticking the little sticking the end back on, allowing it to tighten down off the elastic, and you've got yourself a retainer again. Now, at both ends of the sling itself, you have a set of 2 reinforced carry handles. So if your catch is a 2-man job, then one of you can hold it at the front, one of you can hold it at the back, and just be in the confidence that, you know, nothing's going to give, nothing's going to slip, and you're looking after your catch the best way possible when you're transferring it from the margins over to your mat. So really strong, sturdy, good size carry handles on either side of the poles, pretty much running alongside the floats there at either end. Just allows you to transport your fish in a safe and confident manner. So as you will see, there are 2 large zips, so it's double zipped, which means you're not having to try and reach around one side and run the zip you know, through the whole length of the sling itself. 2 zips that will pretty much open all the way around to the base of the sling itself, meaning you can get it wide open. So you get 2 large zip pulleys on there, so you're not trying to faff around with little zips or anything like that if you've got cold hands in the winter, that sort of thing. And the zip itself is quite a big zip as well, so it's not going to get sort of damaged or broken, anything like that. The teeth will just align nicely and will sort of stay true, so you can get your fish in the mat like so and just reveal your prize by running the zips all the way down the full length of the sling, allowing you to get it right open with your fish on the mat, meaning that you've got optimum space inside your mat to allow you to deal with the fish inside. So you can then just zip it straight back up when you're wanting to sort of transfer the fish back to the margin, ready for release. 2 large zips that will just run back through to the middle. I always leave them in the middle when I'm zipping it up rather than one end or the other, just because it's easier to just do it simultaneously with both hands. I just wanted to point out one little last feature in regards to sort of like the zips, and it's this clip here. So if you have got a fish of a lifetime sat inside here, I've seen it before where people have not fully zipped up their slings, that sort of thing, and fish have escaped. So if you've got, like I say, a fish of a lifetime that you want to keep retained short term, then this clip here will ensure that these zips cannot come away or come open in any way, shape or form. So essentially all you need to do is just line up the big O's that make up the top of the zip, get your clip and just basically run thin end of the clip through the zips like so. Now these are going to come apart, what, 2 inches, if that, 2 inches, but it ain't going to go anywhere. It can't go left, it can't go right. If a fish was that strong, it definitely isn't going to be escaping that much of a hole. So just for complete security, if you have got a PB or something like that resting in the sling whilst you get the camera gear and that sorted, then yeah, I fully recommend the use of that clip, just a complete security that your fish isn't going to escape. One last feature then that I just wanted to talk about is sort of like the depth and the width there between the poles itself. Now I've seen some in the past where there isn't much material between the sort of zip and the 2 poles, and they are really quite narrow and you can't really get your hands in and stuff like that to get the zips undone. But this is really generous in the space that it gives you between the poles. Like I say, all about ease and getting your fish sorted on the mat easy and quick, getting it straight back out where it belongs. So you're not having to sort of, like I say, fight in and around little bits of space where you can't get your hands in and get stuck into those zips. So yeah, a good amount of size between the poles just means you can get stuck in, get them zips open, deal with a fish and get it back. Now on one end of the sling you will notice a little velcro pocket there. So if you just lift that up, you will find that that is home to 5 meters of reflective cord. Now what this will allow you to do is screw it into a spare bank stick or storm pole, stick that in the margin or sort of as far out as you need to get it, and that will give you 5 meters of cord to get your sling out into deeper water, just allowing the fish to have a little bit more of a, you know, depth to it, be comfortable whilst in the sling, and just allowing a bit more sort of you know, flow and water to get through the sling, just keeping it at a nice comfortable depth whilst you get all your camera gear and stuff like that out. So you get 5 meters of cord, the clips as well, and the bank stick mount, and once that is done with, I do thoroughly recommend that you just pop it straight back into the pocket, because of yeah, in the night time it is most certainly a trip hazard. So just for the sake of yourself and ferrying your fish from the margin to your mat, just pop it straight back in the pocket, because yeah, you don't want to go tripping yourself up in the hours of darkness. So moving down to the actual sling itself, now it's a really soft, fish friendly material. It allows for sort of maximum water flow, and as I said, it just keeps the fish nice and comfortable whilst you're sorting yourself out on the bank. Now the material itself is fast drain, so although it looks like quite a tight sort of weave, there is yeah, plenty of sort of holes in there to allow the water to escape, drain away at the side of the margin, and then bring your fish over to the mat. There's nothing worse. I've seen sort of slings with just holes sort of, you know, hole punched into the bottom, and you're holding it there and you're waiting for the water to drain. That's no good. You know, it doesn't allow for water flow whilst the fish is out, you know, in the lake, and it doesn't help you out either when you're on, you know, on the bank waiting for this to drain before you can move your fish to the mat. So it's yeah, it's fast drain. There's plenty of holes in that material there that will just allow the water to escape, and then you can get your sling over to the mat and deal with the fish. So I've seen quite a few that are pretty much, you know, shallow and straight along the bottom. This one has a nice sort of rounded shape to it, so it just allows the fish to just sort of sink right into the sling, get nice and comfortable, and then you can easily carry that fish by the handles over to obviously your mat. But the shape of it, like I say, just allows for a nice depth of material there for the fish just to get nice and comfortable down in the bottom. But then not only that, when you're lifting it, the fish will come down and just sink into this area there, just making it more comfortable for you carrying it, and obviously the fish as well. So just before we wrap up then, we'll just have a look at the sort of overall finish of the tactical sling. So green in colour with the tactical camo design, just running along the sort of bars of the sling there in typical sort of Wychwood tactical fashion. It has a subtle sort of Wychwood logo on one side, and if I flip it round, it has it on that side as well. So like I say, just following the sort of uniform of the tactical range, green and camo on the top. Overall then, this tactical floating sling is quite a sturdy little sling. The metal poles, you know, giving them a bit of force even on the joins where the middle there, where they meet, where it folds in half. It's not flimsy by any means. It's quite a strong, sturdy little sling, and definitely built to last. These will easily cope with 30-40 pound fish without a problem at all. Like I say, it's got the depth of the sling there, and it's got the strength in the poles. And not only that, you know, all the sort of double stitched areas that need to be double stitched for strength and security throughout as well. So I have no doubts that this will last a very, very long time. As always, I hope you enjoyed watching this sort of up close product video. It's not me ramming the products down your neck, it's just about me pointing out some of the features of the products that I use in my own fishing. Now if you've got any questions about the tactical floating sling, feel free to stick them down below in the comments. I will help you where I can. As always, thanks for watching, and I will catch up with you next time.